Welcome to the symbolic lodge of conversation, where consciousness and curiosity interweave into discussion. This is All Square Podcast, and today's full of shenanigans. He's a dear friend of mine who's been a Mason for over 3 years. He's going to tell his story of what brought him into the fraternity and what he's been experiencing in the fraternity. Let me give it up for Brother Will Mitchell, my guy.
Robbie,
Will,
how are you, sir?
I'm hoping I'm not going to regret this episode.
This is going to be insane.
This is going to be insane.
Who said this was okay?
I don't know. I hope it becomes one of our famous Lost episodes.
We'll just make sure that the check's in the mail.
Sure.
And it'll be fine.
That's great. Will. Who is Will Mitchell?
So Will Mitchell is an awesome guy.
Okay.
No. So I live in Bellevue, so south of Sandusky in Ohio. So about an hour away from the shenanigans where you typically reside. And, I live in the middle of nowhere. I work in IT for the government. And I really just try to be a family man, really try to help the community, really try to be a better person day by day.
Better person. Day by day.
Yes, sir.
That's kind of what our fraternity preaches about.
Kind of ironic, right?
Right. What does it mean to be a better person?
What does it mean to be a better person? So it's just striving to make sure that every day you work on something small to improve the world at large.
Is this something that you've always believed in?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I very much cared and do care about helping others and helping the world really be better off. I want to leave this place better than I left it.
Okay.
I think it's really challenging, right? It's a big, tall order,
Sure.
Right? But, I really strive to make sure that at a small part every day, I am able to go to sleep at night thinking, I did that one thing that bettered someone.
Can you give some examples?
Absolutely. So we have I volunteered at a church camp growing up. Church Camp Wanakee, part of the United Methodist Church and the East Ohio Conference. So the east side of Ohio. And really focused on trying to change these kids' lives. Right?
What are these kids kind of going through? Do they know their religion? Are these like really young kids?
Yeah, so they range from small ages, right? So we have they have a day camp all the way to senior high and high school. And so you have the little tots all the way up to the older kids, and they range from being on fire for Jesus,
okay,
versus not knowing what God is, what that thing in this giant sky that everyone's talking about is, right?
Right.
And the goal for that camp is to teach them about God, teach them about, the Bible and maybe some part in their hard life to be that release that they need once a year. So the camp goes for 1 week. And these kids come, Robbie, and they're in inner city Cleveland, inner city Toledo.
Yeah.
And they don't know what love is.
Wow. Coming up from rough environments.
Yeah. They don't know what the word caring means. The word love, of course, the word a hug, right? They don't know how to hug, right? And it seems outrageous and crazy, but these kids don't know what love truly is.
How long you been a part of this church camp?
Yeah, so I started when I graduated high school. Met my wife there, believe it or not.
Okay.
And then dropped out, went to college, normal progression of life. And then just recently, the last, I'd say about 5 years, I've been focusing on their IT, their IT space, and making sure that they're able to not have to worry about the IT, the computers and all of that, and focus on ministering to these children.
Is it a job, or is this just something you're volunteering that you're just
It is a job. It is a paying gig, if you
okay?
will. But it's not what it's about. Really that stipend, if you will, covers mileage to get there. It's about 2.5 hours away from me.
Okay.
And I go 4 times a year. And then I set up remote support for them. So I'm able to remote in to their computer and fix things. And they call me when I need to fix something, or we'll do a video chat, which is really cool. But yeah, I've been doing it for the better part about 10 years or so.
You? Is your wife still involved with it?
Just myself. Just
Okay.
myself. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
And then, of course, we're thinking about taking the kids there and having them experience what changed, honestly, my life, and what changed my wife's life as well.
Have that influence with your kids.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So you were talking earlier about being a better man. How did Mr. Mitchell become Brother Mitchell, and how did you find this fraternity?
Yeah, so that's a rather long conversation. We probably have time for that, I suppose. But so I worked for a company that there was a gentleman there. His name is Jordan Honeycutt, and Jordan lives in Tennessee, and he just casually talked to. He's in IT, works there, and just casually talked up Masonry, and I said, okay, that's cool and all, but I don't really have time for something else, right? I don't really care. So a couple months go by, and it's really weighing on me, Robbie, about trying to figure out why he brought up Masonry, of all things. Like,
Did you know anything about Masonry before?
I knew that it was a cool thing to do. Right. I knew.
Yeah, it is.
I knew that there were all these, at least at the time, right? Thought that there was these old guys that went to these buildings, did some meetings, and then went home. Right.
Okay.
I knew about the shrine, where they help, kids and whatnot with physical ailments and things of that nature, with the hospitals and burn victims and things like that. But that interests me, of course, right, from my previous, Camp Wanakee and things like that. But I didn't really have the time to devote to something else in my life.
Okay.
And Jordan said, hey, if you're interested, let me know and I can help you out. And I was like, no, Jordan, like, it's fine. Like, I'll figure it out. So I contacted a lodge close to me. I lived in Akron at the time, and contacted a lodge about 10 minutes away from me. And
What lodge was it?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I do not remember. And contacted them on Facebook and email. And I said, hey, really interested, really want to get to know what this Masonry thing is, and really try to be a Shriner.
Okay.
Right?
Because of the hospital.
The hospitals and helping kids,
Sure.
and whatnot, right? And I really wanted to just disregard, I guess, in hindsight, right? Disregard the Blue Lodge, or the initial sort of initiation.
The Blue Lodge is where everybody starts. There's different lodges all across states, and the Blue Lodge is where you start and obtain the first 3 degrees to become a Master Mason. And then when you obtain Master Mason, you get to be a part of all these appendant bodies, like the Shrine.
Exactly right. I didn't really want to sit in meetings all day.
Business meetings?
Business meetings,
You're
right.
in business meetings all the day.
Right.
All day, anyway.
Right. I wanted to be a Shriner, so let me focus on being a Shriner, and let's get through this. So anyway, I contact them. I get their number. I try to call them, and I didn't get a response. So I send them another email, send them another Facebook message, call them. Never got a Never got a message back. And contact Jordan in Tennessee.
Okay.
And I say, hey, man, I really want to be a Mason, and these people haven't contacted me. I don't know what's going on, and I'm trying to figure out how to be a Mason. And he goes, I'll handle it for you.
And you've known this guy for a while.
Known this guy for 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And I didn't know what that meant, but in the background, he contacted the Grand Lodge of Ohio, the secretary of the Grand Lodge of Ohio at the time. And the grand secretary, so the person who is in charge of making sure that all the books are good and all of that, and really focusing on the business side of Masonry for all of Ohio, contacted this lodge and never got a response.
Wow, this grand secretary did.
Right.
Oh boy.
So then they contact Barberton and a neighboring area from Akron, and
shout out Barberton.
That's right, Barberton. And unbeknownst to me, there was a past Grand Master that used to, or is a part of that lodge, Jim Easterling.
Oh yeah.
And contacted Jim directly and said, Jim, got someone who's interested in Freemasonry. Please reach out to him. So that goes all the way back up, goes back to Jordan. Jordan says, you'll get a call here in about 5 minutes.
Wow.
And I, of course, didn't know what that meant, right? Oh, okay, great. I'll get a call in 5 minutes. I'll try to make time for it, right? But I didn't know any of this was happening in the background, right? Like
Sure.
that all of these people were trying to get me into this fantastic organization, right? And I get a call from Jim
Within the 5 minutes.
within the 5 minutes.
Wow.
Hey, hear that you're interested in Freemasonry. Tell me more about that. So I tell him, I really want to be a Shriner. I really want to help kids. Really want to focus on, helping others and making sure that I leave this place better than I left it, right? And Jim says, "Okay, great. Meet me at this gas station.
Gas station?
And I'll get you a petition, and you can fill out things, and we can go from there." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna meet this random guy at a gas station." So
all the stuff probably the church said, don't talk to strangers.
right, exactly right. I'm freaking out. So I tell my wife where I'm going, right? Like
dropping your address of where you're at.
Right. So I go to the BP.
Sure.
And I say, "Hey Jim, I'm here." And he goes, "I've been sitting here for 20 minutes. I think you might be at a different gas station."
Oh no.
Right. So again, right, Jim Easterling, right? The head of all of Freemasonry in Ohio.
Was
right?
he at the time?
He was, yeah.
And you're at the wrong gas station.
I'm at the wrong gas station.
You don't know who he is.
No idea who this guy is.
Taking time out of his day.
Taking time out of his day, right? and he's like, he's giving me directions to try to get to where he is. So I kid you not, I drive up to this gas station. It's closed, and there's just this guy randomly in this parking lot with his headlights on. Go over there. "Hi, I'm Jim. Here's a petition. You'll need money to join, and have a great day."
Okay, so that's how your first interaction.
That's my first interaction. So at the time, I had no money to my name. We were struggling financially. I can't throw money at this organization, right, to join. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know it covered, potential lodge expenses or, the general ritual of actually getting me through things, right?
Sure.
I didn't understand what that meant. So I call up Jordan in Tennessee and I'm telling him about this. And he's like, "Okay, I'll be in Ohio in the next 2 weeks. Let's meet up and discuss this and we'll figure it out." And Jordan covered those dues for me.
Just out of his own
Just out of his own budget. Took care of it for me. and said, "This is an organization that you need to be a part of."
Wow.
I said, "Jordan, I can't take this. I mean, you're a good friend, but like, I can't take that." So I took it because I didn't have any money. Right? And, and
Did he expect to be paid back?
no. No, not at all.
Did you pay him back?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
I was waiting for you to say no, not at all.
Jordan, if you're watching, I need that money back. So the crux of the story for me is that this guy, right, who was a good friend of mine, but cared so much to, in my eyes, right,
Sure.
effectively push me into this organization to make me a better man.
Not soliciting you for membership.
No,
You had a general curiosity of this organization, and you wanted to help
absolutely.
kids who, are cursed with some affliction.
Right.
And it's just been ingrained with you because of this camp.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Wow. So you walk through these degrees and or you get balloted upon and you join the fraternity. So how long so you get all 3 degrees at Barberton?
Yes, eventually. However, I get the first 2 degrees. So there's three ultimate degrees, right?
3 degrees in Blue Lodge. Entered Apprentice, Fellow Craft, Master Mason are the 3 Blue Lodge degrees.
Are you sure those are the right? I'm kidding. Just kidding. So I get my first 2 degrees and we move to Bellevue. 2.5, 3 hours away from Akron.
Why?
My wife.
Okay.
My
Family's from there?
Family's from there. She was really struggling because I wasn't helping out. I was struggling emotionally from a lot of mental issues and stress and just wasn't. I was stressed about supporting her. I was stressed about financially supporting her, emotionally supporting her.
Were you just a couple at that time?
No, we were married at the time. We had a kid, my son, Marcus. Wonderful little kid.
True gentleman.
Right.
Yep.
He is.
I give total credit to your wife.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, my wife did everything. Yeah, not me at all. No.
Well, I mean, you did something, but that's about it.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
kidding.
yes. 15 seconds. So I continue.
Yeah.
I continue moving forward.
Sure. You can finish up at Bellevue?
There's
a lodge in Bellevue.
Yeah, so there is a lodge in Bellevue. I contacted Bellevue and I said, "Hey, really interested in continuing and finishing out my degree work and finally getting that 3rd degree, that Master Mason." And they said, "You have to go to Barberton to finish that out."
Oh.
And so I obviously couldn't take the time to drive all the way there and whatnot. So what I did was I drove for a 1-day class.
Okay.
In Barberton, about 2.5, 3 hours away, and got all my degrees, and the rest is history.
Okay. So then you are now in this city that you were in for a while.
Right.
You petitioned Bellevue Lodge.
Correct.
What's it now? Bellevue, for some people that don't know, that's in a more rural area than like a Toledo, Ohio, or an Akron.
Oh, absolutely.
Is it night and day different?
Completely different.
How so?
So Barberton has a very large lodge room, large building. Really, I mean, there's 3 lodges within the actual lodge. So large meeting spaces.
Sure.
3 of those. And it's a grandiose building, and there are probably 4 or 5 levels to it. And Bellevue is in the middle of a cornfield, and has.
It is. It's a nice lodge, though.
It's completely different. So the dynamic is different. The culture is completely different. You obviously have people that are coming from different walks of life there. It's and don't get me wrong, it's awesome. It's fantastic, and I am so happy to be here and focus on raising my kids in nature. Really, we live on 3 acres, have farm animals, and all of that, and it's awesome. It's fantastic.
Wow. Okay, so you're in it. You're in Bellevue now. You're getting to know the people there. You take up any activities. Do you finally become a Shriner?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What other activities? What other activities are you a part of?
Did it on purpose. No, you're welcome.
Making me work.
That's right. Yeah. So I became a Shriner, focused on, helping out there, meeting amazing people, and to be honest, this entire fraternity, anywhere I go, I'll walk in and I have anxiety, right? So like I'll walk in somewhere and preparing to walk into a building that you don't know anyone of, right? It's really stressful. So like not being able to sleep at night, stressing about it, working yourself up to a point where you're effectively unable to walk into a building because you don't know these people.
Okay.
So just trying to get over that, walking into these buildings, right? Where there's awesome people there that say, "Hey, what's your name? My name's Robbie. Great to meet you." And
is that where we met? We met in the Shrine?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
we did.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
I'm sure you do. Yeah.
But so you're meeting all these guys. No, of course I remember meeting you.
Yeah, so you meet all these guys and they care about you.
Why is that?
They care about you because of what Freemasonry teaches you, which is making men better and caring about each other and caring about the world, right? Making the world a better place.
Why do you think Masonry focuses so much on that?
Because
deep question, I know.
Right.
Why aren't we just focusing on ourselves, like just ourselves in our own little world of Masonry? Like, why does Masonry want us to focus like on the outside world?
Because there is something larger than you.
Ooh.
In this world. Right?
Yeah. I like that.
So Freemasonry teaches you and focuses on you when you first start. Focuses on making you a better man, making you a better husband, teaching you these ideals so that you can be the best man that you can be. Through the months afterwards, after you get those 3 degrees, through the months, the years after, you start learning that it's really much larger than you.
But you have an impact.
Exactly right.
So even though we're talking about that microcosm of the world, the macrocosm of the world, that microcosm is you.
Right.
In your influence.
Exactly right.
Into the world, right?
This is getting deep, Robbie.
This is getting really deep. But you came into this organization to better others.
Yes.
Has Masonry helped better you?
I hope so. I think so.
Okay.
It helps. I was really a bad husband starting out. Didn't quite care about anyone else but myself. And that manifests itself into focusing on my career, focusing on me, focusing on the car that I had to get that better job for me.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to say it was for the family to get more and more money, right? But it was just me. And
okay, cool.
And when you start learning that it's bigger than you, you start focusing on the things that actually matter, which are others, right? Which are the things that are closest to your friends, your family, your significant other, right? Your kids, and really making sure that you invest in them so that you can invest in others.
Wow. There's a lot of obstacles when it comes to that, right? To get there. It's just not an easy way, right? And a guy in your industry who's working for the government, you're a consultant, you always got to try to provide those solutions to the government. You got to provide those solutions when you're active, when obstacles come into your personal life. Not everything's a success. Let's talk about failure for a moment, right? I don't think we talk about that enough. And what do you think about if something that you can't solve, that puzzle you can't solve, becomes a failure? How do you turn that around? I'm assuming that you sometimes come up to obstacles that you sometimes feel like you can't overcome.
Yeah,
That's a
absolutely.
deep question, but
That's a huge one. Yeah, absolutely. I recently, in the past year or so, I started getting more and more and more active into the fraternity, and I started becoming more and more and more emotionally drained
okay.
outside of the organization. Right?
What was the cause of that?
I don't know.
Okay,
I think it was just my brain being weird, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that it just started becoming more and more. It started to become a bigger and bigger struggle to do stuff, anything. I became more and more depressed, more and more anxious, more and more not wanting to do literally anything.
You think it was draining because, we're taught in this fraternity to keep our passions within due bounds, and sometimes, we overextend ourselves. We have to reflect on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there are times in our Masonic journeys where people ask you to do things and you always say yes.
Ooh.
You
Yeah.
always say yes. You always want to do more and more to help out, right? And quite frankly, there comes a time where you can't do everything.
Masonic burnout is so real.
Absolutely.
We've seen that with some great Masons in the fraternity, that I got to keep putting more on my shoulders and more on my shoulders and more on my shoulders. And you're just trying to live up to help out this organization and this lodge and all the stuff going on. But sometimes you got to just talk to your brothers about, hey, I'm really struggling at this. And I'm assuming that that you've had those conversations with brothers who have helped you with that, right?
We're going deep, Robbie.
I know. I know.
We're
It's a
going deep.
deep episode.
Yeah, so I became secretary of Bellevue. Um, trying to take minutes of the meetings and trying to help out from a technology standpoint and assisting where I can. And then there was a much larger ask of me for a much larger sub organization within the fraternity.
Sure.
And they asked me to lead it.
Right.
This guy, right? Just, hey, can you lead this organization?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to do that. Yeah, but you'd be really good at it. Here's why you would be really good at it. And I took them up on that offer. So
you're spinning, let's just act like we're spinning plates.
right.
You're spinning family.
Right.
But we're also spinning work. And I know as a contractor, you have a lot of contracts with a lot of organizations, and you're spinning plates right here. Then you're also focusing on your lodge, making sure that's taken care of.
Right.
And then now you have an appendant body, plus some of your other obligations in maybe, let's say, the shrine, just being a part of it over there.
Right.
And you've talked to me personally about this, about, you had to take a step back and try to circumscribe those desires and keep those passions. Because, yeah, it's fun, but we are taught Masonry should never overtake you.
It did, Robbie.
Yeah, because you got hooked up into the fun, the excitement, and the thing is you wanted to better others and better other branches, but you didn't want to let it down. And yeah, it might have not have happened the way that like you didn't want to neglect duties and stuff like that.
Absolutely not. No, not at all.
And I'm not trying to talk for you. I'm
No.
trying to put in its perspectives, and I believe I'm putting in perspective for the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I never wanted to let anyone down. Right?
Right.
And I never wanted to ruin people's lives.
Well, Sonic, yeah.
Yeah, they're Masonic.
Yeah, not ruin people's lives.
Yeah, right.
I get it.
I never wanted to hurt anyone or make their lives more difficult.
Right.
And I felt before we had long conversations about this that I really just ruined it with a lot of these folks.
I was worried about you because after, you kind of took a brief step back from the fraternity for a while. Like I always wanted to make sure I kept calling you. I wanted to make sure you're okay because I know you deal with you talk a lot about your mental health and capacity and raising 3 kids now, and your wife works at home and she's taking care of the farm.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I know other brethren reached out to you as well.
Yeah, they did.
In the fraternity.
They did, absolutely. I had several folks reach out. I had several folks call me. And when you're in this state, when you're in this funk of mental angst, right? No one can help you, you feel.
Yeah.
You feel like no one knows what you're going through. No one knows how to help you ultimately get out of what you're getting out of, or get out of what you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And Robbie, you just kept on calling. You kept on calling. And you kept on making sure that I was okay.
That's what our obligations tie us to. I was so worried about you, and yeah, I know, hey, you had to make a very difficult decision, and you didn't intend to hurt the lodge. You didn't intend to hurt this Masonic branch, when they needed you in leadership. You just overextended yourself.
Right.
And we're not perfect. I remember, man, 6 months, 9 months, I kept just shooting calls to you, shooting text messages to you, not answering. And our friendship, because we might have not ever met.
No, we would have never met.
And I know brethren who are watching this right now who also worry about a brother in their lodge, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's mental issues, mental. The mental stigma, right? It is let's not talk about it. Let's not think about us having an issue. And really, men, really, right? We never want to go to the doctor and never want to ask for help. But really, I learned through this process, if you will, that you have to either A, ask for help, as we all know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if there is someone going through this,
mm-hmm.
that you have to continue reaching out. Because I wasn't alone, right? I had my wife and I had my kids. But if there's someone alone going through that,
oh my goodness,
I couldn't imagine.
What kind of hell are those people going through?
Right.
Because they don't have a friend who's out there giving a hand to them to lift them up. We're taught that so much in the fraternity. And I love all my brothers, even brothers who's wronged me. I still love them. And I don't do this to feel good about myself. I don't reach out to you to make sure, I did a good thing today.
Right.
I do it because maybe there's going to be a time in my life where I feel like I'm like Atlas over here, who has the whole world's burden on his shoulder, right? Maybe I feel like I just can't lift it. And I don't expect it, but I hope there would be a hand reaching out for me.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. And I guarantee we have people in this organization that are experiencing that.
sure.
And honestly, it goes around like full circle, right? Where we started this Masonic journey, right, in this episode of me wanting to help people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then now going through this personally, I'm always going to reach out to folks, right? And make sure that they're okay.
And it also, you were helping others, and you also learned how to help yourself.
Yeah.
By the Brotherhood, by the wise counsel we give from guys of all ages, of denominations, races, occupations. You have a network of
Locations.
Locations, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if I was, in distress, or if I had a time where somebody needed to come get me, right? I've had that where brethren have reached out and drove away to take care of me. I was in the hospital with severe pancreatitis.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, for the audience at home, I mean, I was literally in a hospital bed. Woke up 5 days later finding out that the priest was doing last rites on me.
Yeah.
And my parents are in tears, crying.
You were in bad shape, man.
From what I remember that. And the outpouring of that brotherhood was there when I couldn't help myself. There's a moment I truly appreciate with you. And I remember we were smoking cigars one day. You remember exactly what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it?
Go ahead.
I remember when I got a phone call from you. It was after we left the cigar house one late evening.
Yes.
And
right.
And I live 20 minutes away from the cigar house. Will lives an hour. How far from?
Hour 15.
Hour 15. I get home. I get upstairs after a 20-minute drive. We're probably been out since 1 o'clock, smoking cigars, having a drink, enjoying fellowship with each other. It's right when we kind of first met.
It is right where we first met. I was driving a leased vehicle.
Yeah.
I had the car seats in the back. Thankfully, no kids, right? At 1 o'clock in the morning. And I was driving in the middle of nowhere, right? I was, 2 miles away from my house?
Yeah.
I run out of gas. And this is about an hour away from Robbie. Call up Robbie. I pull into a gas station.
What time was that?
That was like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Pull into a gas station. Finally made it. They're closed.
You have a thing with gas stations. I swear.
I do. They're closed, and they're closed because we live in the middle of nowhere, right? And they're barely open in the beginning. So I pull into this gas station. They're closed. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm just gonna sleep here for the night. No. I'll call the wife.
2 miles away from
2 miles away from my house. I'll call the wife. She'll bring me some gas. We'll get this taken care of. So I call her. She's sleeping, of course. And I say, hey, ran out of gas. Can you help me out? She goes, no. And I'm like,
if you know Kara, she's a sweetheart.
Yeah. I'm like, come on. Like, I'm 2 miles away. She's like, I'm not taking 3 kids out at 2 o'clock in the morning. You can just sleep there. It's like, fine. So call Robbie and I was like, hey, just so you know.
Mind you, I got a nose hose from my CPAP machine. And I got the blankets. I'm literally laying down with the no-shows all over my face, just sleeping, and I see the light go on, bling, and I'm like,
Yeah. Thanks for answering, by the way.
no. I was like, I must have left something with him or something.
You did. Gas. You did not leave me enough gas. So I call you up and say, hey, just so you know, I'm 2 miles away from my house. 2 miles away from my house. And I'm going to sleep here. Just wanted to know that, well, just wanted you to know that I'm safe. Because right before you said, hey, give me a call when you arrive home.
Yeah.
Say, you're not going to get that call because I'm 2 miles away from my house.
Always a thing with my friends
Right.
is to make sure. And I'm like, you're not staying out there.
It's like, yes, I am. It's fine. It's fine. It's not a big deal. And he's like, you want me to come and fill your gas tank up, don't you? And I said, no, I don't want you to do that. So for an hour and 15 minutes, we were on the phone because you had to get gas.
Your phone was going to die.
My phone, that's right.
Your phone was about to die. I have an old gas tank that doesn't have a lock on it. I'm almost succumbing from fumes in my car.
Yeah. I had to hear about it. He had to tell me the entire time, oh my gosh, I'm about to die from gas fumes.
I did not. I left the windows open.
Air conditioning?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Had to.
I'm not smoking a cigar. I mean, it's not like we're going to start a fire.
Right. But you came. You went from in bed, ready to go, right? Ready to sleep. And you took the time to drive and fill up my gas tank.
And I would do it again. I'd do it again.
Yeah, you would.
I'd do it again for you, for any of my brethren. That's a part of it. Because you guys mean so much to me in this fraternity. And I just pray that other Masons reap that kind of reward.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I would drive an hour.
Fair enough.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, absolutely, right? You take care of your friends, right?
Take care of your brothers.
Your brothers.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm so glad this is an impromptu episode. I'm so glad that you were able to tell your story, get that off your chest, what you were dealing with and what you were mentally going through a battle with. Because I know you love your lodge.
Absolutely.
You love the places that you're a part of, and more importantly, you're getting back active into the fraternity with the understanding of knowing how much you can handle.
Absolutely. It was a great learning experience, right? Of course.
Of course. Well, I always like to do this at the end of the episode. What's one thing, if somebody's watching at home right now, what do you want to tell them?
You're not alone. There's always someone that cares about you. And always accept that call.
That's my brother, Will Mitchell. I'm R.L. Franks, and you are all square. Hey, R.L. Franks here. Thanks again for watching today's episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you believe someone can benefit from the message that we provided on today's podcast, send it over to them. You may inspire them.